Years.
Anyway,
in the Nevada desert that they were keeping quiet and analyzing. That's a fact. They don't need my story, but that's all my story was that I was just one of the people working on these craft.
Well, fine. I'll just say everything instead of holding back on anything,
Yeah.
and then you can edit it later on.
All right. Well, take it from the top then.
Okay. Well, go ahead.
How you got involved with this program?
I had sent resumes to several national labs. I got a response from a couple of them. I went in for an interview. They had a job in mind, and then they continued questioning me mainly on my interests outside of work. They seemed to be really concerned about that.
About things like jet cars.
Right. What do you do in your spare time? You say you work on little projects. I said, yeah, I have a particle accelerator in my master bedroom and things of that sort. And
yeah. Hey, baby, let's do it. Oh shit! Don't trip on the particle accelerator.
Yeah, wait a minute.
Like, how fucking hot is that to be banging somebody with a particle accelerator in their master
Yeah, they
bedroom?
just fucking going at it, and the particle accelerator boots up. He's like, "Oh shit, I hit the button."
some time went by, and they called me back in. They said there was a senior staff physicist that was leaving this organization, and they basically interviewed me for that job. I was given a lot of briefings to read on. I believe there were 121 different briefings, and they just sat me in a room, and they had while they were going and updating my clearance to a level that they call majestic.
You start reading these reports, you see some of them deal with flying saucers.
You gotta love all this shit that they cut through too while they're talking. It's so dumb.
Yeah.
Like, I would rather just watch the actual interview instead of this
Yeah.
bullshit. But like, okay, hold on. Actually, there was one thing that isn't complete bullshit. Let me see if I can find it.
You work on little projects. I said, yeah, I have a particle accelerator in my master bedroom and things of that sort. And
Particle
some
accelerator.
time went by, and they called me back in. They said there was a senior staff physicist that was leaving this organization, and they basically interviewed me for that job. I was given a lot of briefings to read on. I believe there were 121 different briefings, and they just sat me in a room, and they had a
Okay, so this is supposedly how this thing looked, I guess, maybe. Because the way he described it in the podcast, it looks a lot like this thing. It's like a plate with a hemisphere. And like, once you put the hemisphere on, then the reactor turns on, and then you can't touch it. Like, it creates anti-gravity, and you can't throw something at it. Like, it'll just like bounce off or like, throw off. It's crazy.
Yeah.
going and
Can
updating
you
my clearance.
like take the hemisphere off?
Yeah,
Turn it off?
I mean, like, it's so what he also talked about on the podcast is that it responds to loads. So like, if you try to pull like, because it's also a reactor, it creates power. Like, he said, an unfathomable amount of power, like so much power, and like, it's just crazy because this thing, it's a power source. It's like a propulsion system, and it I was trying to remember what was the other thing, and it creates like no heat. You know how like everything that uses electricity always, like, no matter how big it is, always right. But this thing, they said, didn't even get hotter than the ambient room temperature. But it was producing like insane amounts of power, like so much that it's just crazy. But it, like, if it detects like a load, like if you think about an electric load, if obviously you couldn't plug a microwave into it, it wouldn't work like that. But if you try to draw power from it, it would turn on, and then once the load was released, then it would go back off. But it's so efficient that it creates like no heat at all, no matter how much power they tried to pull from it. Yeah, and also this schematic, it kind of looks like what he described, with like this middle part with these chairs and like flat pillars and stuff right here or whatever, and then like this undersection. It's kind of weird. Like I'm sure this is some stupid drawing that they came up with, but like this is kind of what he was talking about in the podcast or whatever. But he said like there's no sharp corners. It's just smooth, like melted butter all the way around. And there's like all the same color. It's crazy. No screens at all. Like just no idea how you fly it.
To a level that they call majestic.
You start reading his reports, you see some of them deal with flying saucers. What's your reaction?
Well, I was completely shocked. I couldn't believe it, but I was fascinated. I was so excited. It's a science dream, really. Eventually, I was shown them. One close-up, one operating. They had one of the reactors out of the crafts, which was an antimatter reactor. I was given a demonstration on how it worked, things that it did, and the physics of it. The thing they were most interested in is duplicating the reactors without using this element 115.
So this element 115 is the stuff that the element that came with the reactor is like super stable, but when they tried to recreate it, there was some scientists in Germany that actually recreated it for like 22 milliseconds or whatever, and like 4 atoms of it for like 22 milliseconds is all it lasted, and it just decayed so quickly. But for some reason, like in this supposed reactor, there's like shit tons of stable element 115 in it.
Weird.
And it's a new element that they added to the periodic table in 2004. And he's talking about this in the 80s.
Yo.
It's fucking crazy.
That actually is fucking insane.
They were trying to, and there have been projects before that, just trying to use a normal nuclear generator fueled with plutonium, and it was really a futile attempt.
Some people are sources of gravity. Their certainty and wholeness commands our attention. We are drawn to them by a natural law that requires we don't quite understand the mechanism. But the pull is like a tide, a current you can't deny, and eventually it wears you down.
Call George Knapp.
Calling George Knapp, mobile.
What? Why the fuck would they show that? That doesn't make any sense.
No idea, bro.
Hey, George.
Hey, man.
What's up, man? How you doing?
All right. What's going on?
This is now 30 years since you initially broke the story of Bob Lazar. So, I mean, the amount of information is overwhelming, and I just want to go over with you some of the details of the case.
Sure.
We're talking about UFOs, alien craft, back engineering, and there's Lazar saying he did all that, and from what I understand, it's spread everywhere.
Yeah, you know, we had the first interview in May of 1989 with him as Dennis. It's not his real identity, not known, not revealed to the audience. And even that, before we know who Bob Lazar was, that sparked a great deal of interest among the public. I spent the 8 months between May and November trying to verify Bob's background to see if we could solidify the case, to see if we could find out if he was telling the truth. And then the plan was to unleash it in November, which is what we did. It was the highest rated news series we've ever done. It was the highest rated news special that ever aired in Las Vegas. And then it really exploded. It went all over the world. Bootleg copies of the tapes were being sold and shown in movie theaters. You had media.
Wait a second.
Highest rated news special that ever aired in Las Vegas. And then it really exploded. It went all over the world. Bootleg copies of the tapes.
I don't know what it is, but you have got it.
What the fuck?
Oh my gosh, dude. What the fuck? This guy's going crazy right now, dude. I'm just digging it. Anyway.
The fucking glasses on the Darth Vader's mask.
Media interest from all over the world, and I think a lot of it was skeptical at the beginning, which of course it would be. But in the end, every major news organization in the world beat a path to Area 51's door. And tens of thousands of people started showing up out there to see whatever it was that was flying around in the desert. They're still coming all these years later.
And with that is when they started buying up shit tons of land around Area 51, because there was a specific mountain that if you stood on, you could like look down into the site. And yeah, the government started buying up shit tons of land around the area so people could stop seeing in.
Got it.
So that's why I was like kind of crazy that this story blew up. And if it was fake, then why are they trying to cover it up?
Yeah.
And I know a lot of my media colleagues have had problems with that story, but they've all covered it, all of them. It put Area 51 on the map. It's now known all over the world. Even though Lazar worked at S4, Area 51 is the term that the public knows. So it was huge. It was huge then, it's huge now.
The mountains appear to float on dry lake beds, like spaceships from another world. They seem to ride on a viscous material channeled through empty space by heat that rises and separates. It vitrifies everything it contacts, like a green glass honey. A goddamn psychedelic liquid drowning the emptiness with imagination. This desert is pocked and punctuated by 1,000 gaping holes created in 1,000 atomic blasts that define an era. What are they building in the desert north of Las Vegas? What are they hiding? What the fuck are they hiding?
It's a cool bar.
What is your name and what's your relationship to Bob Lazar?
My name is Mario Santa Cruz, and I met Bob actually in my neighborhood. He lived like one block over. My attraction to Bob was his jet dragster. So I saw this jet dragster sitting out in front of his house in our neighborhood, which was just the jet dragster alone was rare. But in my neighborhood, to see something like that was unbelievable.
Dude's literally fucking Batman. He's got
Bro,
the
put a jet
Batmobile
on a car.
He's got the Batmobile in his garage.
Bro, he needs the motorcycle that comes out of the middle of the fucking thing, and then he needs the guns, and he has the Batmobile.
So when I said he invented the propulsion jet, I think that's wrong. Let me see. Because now that I think about it, he may have not been that guy. Oh, I'm thinking of something completely different. Yeah, okay. That's I am wrong. He did not invent that thing.
Got it.
Yeah, wrong dude. But this guy, he set like a world record for some sort of like fast car thing. I know he did, because I remember he had something to do with like this jet car. Trying to find it. I'm looking through the Wikipedia page. Yeah, I'm not seeing anything on here. I just know that the jet engine car, the jet car, was a really big thing for him.
Yeah.
But yeah, okay, my bad. Wrong thing.
No, you're good.
Unbelievable.
People were harassing Bob, threatening him, and you were with him in one of those experiences, at least one.
A couple of times actually. I actually had a weapon with me, you know, when we rode together because he had been shot at, you know.
Was the weapon, was it the Uzi?
Yes.
Yeah. so when
I don't know why I'm being so careful. I'm used to being that way when it comes to talking about Bob, being careful what I say. You know what I mean? So it's kind of a force of habit to kind of just walk on eggshells a little bit.
This motherfucker carried around an Uzi for self-defense.
Badass, bro.
Like everybody else is still carrying, you know, their fancy handguns, and this dude's got an Uzi.
This dude has a fucking Uzi.
He's just gonna spray and pray.
Honestly.
He just wanted to stay alive. That's why he exposed himself. His life was in chaos. How he pulled out of it, you know, he dug deep. It's a pretty incredible story.
They shot at you. Somebody shot. Maybe as a warning, perhaps.
It was a good warning. I had my back tire shot out on my car as I was getting on the freeway.
That's funny that they played that.
Is this a secret worth killing to keep? I mean, the government, would you say?
Obviously. But in fact, the only reason that getting this on tape is insurance.
Well, that's one reason. But I mean, also as an American citizen, you're bothered by it, that this stuff is going on, and
yeah, I am, but not enough to have, you know, stood here and have it on the record. Insurance is the true motivation behind this.
At least he's honest.
Yeah.
He looks real stressed.
4 months old.
I would be too.
Apartment in Florida, and that's me holding him. Very proud mom holding him. We have a beautiful little place in Florida. Look at that. One Sunday morning, must have been about 6 o'clock in the morning, everyone is sleeping, with this huge bang. Bob had put a jet engine in the bike. At 6 in the morning, he decided to take it out for a trip.
What did you guys think when he said, "Mom, Dad, I'm building"?
Scared out of my mind. I didn't know what he was going to do next. Was he going to blow up the house, blow up the world? I don't know. I don't know.
It's out there, you know?
He's out there.
That's a sick-ass car.
If he proves his story, let's say, maybe it would cause problems. Maybe it would blow shit up.
It more than likely it would. So he's best off keeping things on the low, down low, really.
But at the same time, he has said there is a way he could prove his story, and
I want him to be happy. If vindication is what he wants, fine. But that's up to him.